Forget the Hollywood image of cowboys around a campfire, lazily grilling prime steaks. The reality of grub on the open range was far tougher, more ingenious, and sometimes a little stomach-churning. What did these hardened drovers actually eat on cattle drives that stretched for months through dust and wilderness? Prepare to uncover the surprising, resourceful, and often monotonous diet of cowboys on the open range, the grub that built the West. Cowboys on the open range, the grub that built the West. The iconic image of the American cowboy conjures up visions of wide open spaces, dusty trails, and rugged individualism. But behind the romance of the cattle drive lay a harsh reality, especially when it came to sustenance. For months on end, cowboys would herd thousands of longhorns across vast distances, enduring grueling conditions, extreme weather, and constant vigilance. Their diet wasn't about gourmet meals or endless variety. It was about practicality, preservation, and providing enough calories to fuel relentless physical labor. The unsung hero of this culinary challenge was the chuck wagon and its master, the cookie. Life on the trail demanded food that was durable, easily transportable, and capable of being cooked over an open fire with minimal fuss. The cowboy's grub was a reflection of their demanding lifestyle, simple, hearty, and designed for survival, not pleasure. The chuck wagon, the mobile heart of the operation. The invention of the chuck wagon in 1866 by Texas rancher Charles Goodnight revolutionized cattle drives. Before this, each cowboy carried his own meager rations, which was inefficient and unsatisfactory. The chuck wagon was essentially a mobile kitchen, a modified surplus army wagon designed to carry food, cooking equipment, water, firewood, and even cowboys' bedrolls. It was sturdy, often covered with a white tarp, and built to withstand the rigors of the trail. At the rear of the wagon was the chuck box, a hinged cupboard with shelves and drawers that folded down to create a large workspace. Below it, a pan boot stored heavy cast iron pots and Dutch ovens. The cookie, more than just a cook. Next to the trail boss, the cookie, or koozie, dough boxer, belly cheater, was arguably the most important man on a cattle drive. He woke before dawn, often around 3 a.m., to get the fire going and coffee brewing. The cook's duties extended far beyond meal preparation. He was also the wagon driver, camp manager, barber, doctor, dentist, banker, and even an arbiter of arguments. A bad cook meant low morale, and top hands wouldn't work for an outfit with poor grub. Cowboys knew not to mess with Cookie. His dominion around the chuck wagon was absolute, and he wielded authority, often with a cast iron skillet if necessary. The staple foods, simple, hardy, and essential. The core of the cowboy diet was remarkably consistent, built around items that were easy to preserve and provide energy. 1. Beans, whistleberries, prairie fuel. These were the cornerstone of every meal. Dried beans, usually pinto or Mexican red beans, were cheap, easy to store, and packed with protein. They were slow-cooked, often overnight in a Dutch oven, becoming a hearty, filling staple. 2. Coffee, black as Hades, strong as death, and hot as hell. That was cowboy coffee. Brewed strong and plentiful, it was essential for warmth, energy, and morale. Arbuckle's coffee, with its pre-roasted, preserved beans, became incredibly popular, making it easy to brew enough to float a horseshoe. 3. Sourdough biscuits, bread, saddle blankets, gun wadding, flour, water, and a precious sourdough starter, carefully maintained by the cook, were used to bake fresh biscuits or bread daily in Dutch ovens. These were often hard and dry when cold, but could be softened by soaking in coffee or stew. Gravy, often made from bacon grease and flour, Texas butter, was a common topping. 4. Salt pork, bacon, overland trout or sow belly. Cured meat, primarily bacon or salt pork, was a vital source of fat and protein. It didn't spoil and could be fried up for breakfast or added to beans and stews. 5. Dried fruit and vegetables. While fresh produce was scarce, dried apples, peaches, raisins, and prunes provided some variety and essential nutrients. These were often reconstituted in water or cooked into simple cobblers or puddings if time permitted. Onions and potatoes were also carried if they could be kept. 6. Cornmeal, used for corn dodgers, fried cornmeal patties, or mush, offering a hearty carbohydrate source. Meat, not always what you'd expect. Given that cowboys were herding thousands of cattle, one might assume fresh beef was abundant. This was surprisingly not always the case. Why not fresh beef? Ranchers wanted their cattle to gain weight, not lose it by butchering on the trail. Taking a steer out of the herd could also cause a stampede. Time was also a factor. Butchering and cooking a fresh animal took time away from moving the herd. Reliance on cured meats. Cowboys primarily relied on cured beef, jerky, and salt pork for their meat protein. Occasional fresh beef. Only if an animal was injured or sick might a calf be sacrificed for fresh meat. Wild game, deer, antelope, buffalo, was an occasional treat if available, and time allowed for hunting and preparing. Son of a bitch stew, the cowboy delicacy. Perhaps the most legendary and often unappetizing sounding dish of the open range was son of a bitch stew, or son of a gun stew in polite company. This stew was a celebration of resourcefulness, made from a freshly killed, unweaned calf, using parts usually discarded. Ingredients: it typically included everything but the hair, horns, and holler. This meant heart, liver, kidneys, sweetbreads, thymus gland, tongue, brains, and especially the marrow gut, a tube between the calf's stomachs containing a marrow-like substance, believed to give the stew its unique flavor. These were simmered with tenderloin pieces, often thickened with flour or cornmeal, and sometimes spiced with chilies or onions. Purpose: it was a rare luxury, packed with vitamins and nutrients not found in the everyday diet of beans and biscuits, providing a vital energy boost for the cowboys. Conclusion: a diet forged by the land. The cowboy diet on the open range was a masterclass in practicality and resilience. It was a monotonous, often tough, but incredibly effective system of sustenance forged by the demands of the land and the limits of technology. The simple staples, the ingenuity of the chuck wagon, and the indispensable skill of the cookie allowed cowboys to survive and thrive through grueling cattle drives, playing a vital role in shaping the American West. Their grub was as rugged and enduring as the cowboys themselves.